Hi, I'm Jackie Partridge from Jackie Partridge Art. Today we're going to be painting a palette knife painted water landscape of a nice river. And so you will need some palette knives. This is from Liquitex and it's a freestyle palette knife. This is a small size 12. And here's another one from the same brand, and this is a small knife number 3. This has a nice gripped handle, and if you're new to palette knife painting, you can watch some of my other palette knife paintings, which I have linked for you in the description. You'll also need a wide 2-inch flat brush, a 1-inch flat brush, this is a number 6 round, and a small round brush for detail. I'm painting on a large canvas board. You can also paint on a canvas or watercolor paper. In my palette, I have phthalo blue, ultramarine blue. You can use a cobalt blue or another blue if you have it, cadmium red, titanium white, Mars black, and I have some cadmium yellow. I've also linked my video on mixing greens. If you're new to mixing greens, you can check out that helpful short video as well. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start by painting our background first and just do our first layer, and then we can add the palette knife painting on top of that. So you can just dip your 2-inch flat brush in some water, and we'll get some of our ultramarine blue at the top here for our sky. And I'm just doing a light wash because I'm going to be going over this with my palette knife later anyways. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of draw my river. With my chalk, just to kind of map it out. So on these sides it's going to be green, and in my river it will be blue. Okay. And for some green, I'm just going to use some of my cadmium yellow and a bit of my ultramarine. Mix it together. Again, I'm just adding some water to make a nice wash. Okay. So I can go back in with my darker blue. This is a phthalo blue. I can paint the top of my sky a bit darker. Just kind of blend it in. I can mix a little bit of white in there as well. So I have my nice sky, and I can just reflect a little bit of that color in the water as well. Okay, so now that we have this kind of mapped out, we can go ahead and start with our palette knife. So you can just cover up some of those white spots if you'd like, and then we'll be ready to go. Just giving it another coat. Alright, so that's good enough for our base coat. You don't need to worry about it being covered too much. So now we'll start with our painting. So we're gonna do some of our phthalo blue at the top with our palette knife. So you don't need to worry about covering it completely since we already did our base layer. And since we didn't put a lot of paint on our base layer, we just did more washes, it's kind of already dry, so you don't need to wait and let it dry. All right. So again, if you're new to palette knife painting, I do suggest that you watch some of my palette knife painting videos, like the basics to palette knife painting and picking out palette knives that are right for you, as well as a simple sky with clouds. I have a great tutorial for that using a palette knife. So I'm just painting all kind of in the same direction here, just so that it has a consistent look to it. And again, you can just kind of leave some of that blue shining through. So then we can take some of our white and just mix it right on your palette. So you do go through more paint when you're palette knife painting, just because it's got such a thick texture, so you can always mix a little bit extra than you normally would. And I just love palette knife painting because it's got such a great texture, and you can kind of move really quickly and get a great abstract look. Okay, and then we can add even a bit more white in there. And we're doing the sky first so that we can put like the trees and the grass on top of the sky. So don't worry if you kind of get a little bit extra down there. So we're going to cover that up. And then anything that's extra on your palette knife, you can just kind of smear in the water so that we have some of those same colors down below. Just kind of scrape it on the side to kind of blend it in. And once you're done, you can just kind of leave it to dry. So now we can kind of paint some of our water in here. So I can use some ultramarine. If you have other blues, you can use that as well. And we're just gonna build different layers. So we'll do all of the blue first, and then we'll do the reflections of the green afterwards. You can take some black as well. So you will need some black kind of around the base of the green for the shadows. So you can put that in. And then what's nice about palette knife painting is you can mix the color directly on the canvas as well. I'm just using different blues and kind of switching between the different blues on my palette, adding some white in there. And I'm just kind of using the different edges of my palette knife. And just use some little strokes to make it look like water. A bit more white to it. All right, just wipe your palette knife in a nice rag, clean it off for now. Okay, so that's our water and our sky. Now we're going to do our grass. So I'm just going to take some of my cadmium yellow and we'll just mix it in with our blue. And just kind of get a base down of our texture. Going to be a bit darker near the bottom here. So I just used ultramarine blue and some cadmium yellow. Then I can take some extra yellow and mix that in. It's going to be a bit brighter near the foreground here. And I can take some yellow over here as well. It's going to be lighter where the sun is kind of hitting it. Kind of make it look like trees or grasses. Scratch into it. And you can do that down here as well. Get some cool texture. Add a bit more yellow in it. You can also mix a little bit of red with your green, and again I encourage you to watch my mixing green video to really practice. So you really want a variety of green in an area. And a bit more yellow. Can make it look like little flowers or something. Okay, and now with some of that green, you're just gonna wanna bring some into the water so that it looks like a reflection. So just kind of do little short horizontal lines. Add a bit more yellow. All right, that looks good. And then you can add some clouds if you'd like. It's good to kind of wait till your sky is a bit dry. Alright, so we're just going to let our clouds dry and then we can do another layer of white over top. So paint has dried a little bit. I've got more white paint as well. So I'm just going to kind of lightly dab it. So with clouds, you kind of want them to be different sizes and different thicknesses. And again, I will link my palette knife painting clouds video in the description so you can check out a little bit more detail of how I like to paint clouds. Okay, and then you can put some more white in the water for reflections. Whoop, it's too much. And if you make a mistake, you can just paint over it. No big deal. All right, so there you have it, our palette knife river landscape. I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like it and comment below if you would like to see more palette knife painting videos. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, hit the little bell to receive notifications. And if you complete this painting, tag me over on Instagram or Facebook at Jackie Partridge Art, and you can use the hashtag Jackie Partridge Art Classes because I would love to see the paintings you create and comment on them. And enjoy your time. Happy painting. Bye.